They say every town has a place it tries to forget. The kind of place that doesn't make it onto maps anymore, where the windows are black, the doors sealed shut, and the air still remembers the screams. For me, that place was Ridgeway State Hospital. I didn't believe in hauntings or curses or anything that couldn't be written into a contract. I believed in work, in tearing things down, getting paid, and walking away. But some buildings don't want to come down. Some of them remember your name. This is what happened when I took the demolition job no one else would touch. And if you're listening to this, don't read the name. Don't even try to remember it. I've run demolition jobs for 15 years. Nothing supernatural, nothing dramatic. Just dust noise and deadlines that never forgive a slow hand. I take the jobs other people don't want. The ones tangled in red tape, asbestos, or decades of rot. You pay me, I knock it down, and I don't ask questions. That's what Ridgeway State Hospital was supposed to be, just another paycheck. The place had sat on the edge of town since the 1930s, abandoned in the late 80s. Every kid in Fort Ridge had a story about it. Screams in the hallways, flickering lights, shadows behind broken glass. All small-town nonsense, I thought. Still, it stood there for 40 years untouched, like the town itself didn't want to go near it. The city finally got a grant to tear it down. 30 grand bonus for finishing early. Enough to pay my crew through the winter. I didn't care if the place had ghosts or mold. I needed that money. We walked the building a week before starting. The city rep Harris led the tour clipboard, in hand, flashlight beam, shaking over old bricks and rusted pipes. Most of Ridgeway was standard early century work. Red brick steel girders, slate floors. The kind of place that would have survived a bomb. You could almost smell the electroshock and bleach in the air. But something caught my eye in the sub-basement. At the end of a narrow corridor, the blueprints showed a storage annex. In its place was a wall. Not an old wall either, this one was newer. Uneven brickwork, sloppy mortar. No signage, no permit tags. I told Harris the plans didn't match. He didn't even look up. That section got sealed in the early 2000s, he said. No records, no permits. Leave it. It's off limits. That didn't sit right with me. If it wasn't part of the building, it shouldn't exist. If it was, it should be cleared. He shrugged. The city wants it that way. Don't open it, don't log it. Just move on. So we did, for a while. We started demolition from the top down. The upper floors went fast. Roof sheets, tiles, old walls. My crew worked like clockwork. But Ridgeway had a way of slowing people down. Tools went missing, then reappeared in rooms we hadn't entered. Ladders shifted when no one touched them. The power cut out even with our generators running steady. Manny, my best guy, ex-military, calm under pressure, started showing up pale, jittery. I found him standing in the sub-basement one morning, staring at that sealed wall. He didn't move until I called his name. Then he looked at me, like he'd just woken up from a nightmare. "I'm done," he said quietly. "You can mail my check." I asked what happened. He just looked at the wall and said, "It doesn't want to go." Then he walked out and never came back. That night, I dreamed about that corridor. Long white walls, rows of chairs, all facing a blank surface. Something invisible sitting in one of them, breathing slow and patient. I woke up cold, sweat-soaked. The image burned behind my eyes. A new city rep showed up a few days later. Young guy, fresh haircut, too clean for the job. "How's progress?" he asked. Smooth, I lied. He didn't ask about the wall. Probably didn't even know it existed. that night, after everyone left, I decided to take care of it myself. If there was something behind it, I'd see it. Quietly. No reports, no questions, no delays. I wheeled the concrete saw down the hallway. The deeper I went, the colder the air got. Humidity clung to my skin like wet cloth. I marked the wall and started cutting. The mortar was thick, almost overbuilt. Like whoever sealed it wanted to make sure it never came down. When the last layer gave way, the smell hit first. Sterile, antiseptic, not decay cleanliness. Too clean. I stepped through the hole. Dustless floor. Walls painted a faded green. At the end stood a single padded cell. Inside, an old hospital cot sat beneath a cracked mirror. Leather restraints hung loose, and on the floor, carved into the linoleum, was a circle. Not spray paint, etched deep enough to catch your boot sole. I didn't recognize the symbols, but looking at them made me feel dizzy. On a chair nearby was a patient logbook leather cover, warped with age. The last entry was typed clinical diet behavior sedation levels. But at the very bottom, handwritten in heavy ink, do not remove her. Do not observe her. Do not speak her name. In the back cover, scratched into the leather, was a name, repeated over and over, and again on the walls, carved into the padding. Everywhere. I didn't say it aloud, but I read it, and the air in the room froze. Something creaked behind me, metal shifting under invisible weight. I didn't look. I backed out slowly, step by step, my heart hammering in my throat. By the time I hit the stairs, I was shaking so hard I could barely hold my flashlight. I drove home without remembering the road. The next morning, I came back before sunrise. I sealed the wall with plywood, painted it bright orange, and wrote, "Asbestos do not remove." Then I told the crew that section was off limits by city order. No one questioned it, but the accident started anyway. An excavator clipped a gas line that wasn't in the schematics. A welder's torch backfired and burned half his arm. Tools slipped, beams buckled. Every day, something new. That night, I checked the security feed. At 2:07 a.m., the cameras picked up movement along the fence. A shape moving slow, steady. No body heat, no footprints in the gravel. At home, I started hearing her name whispered through the vents. Not loud, just soft enough to sound like memory. It didn't stop when I unplugged the HVAC. 2 days later, I went back down, alone. The air hit me different that time, thicker, warmer, like breathing through cloth. I told myself I'd finish the job, log it, and move on. Halfway down the hallway, I heard crying. A woman's voice, soft and broken, echoing through the pipes. It wasn't just sound, it carried rhythm, like breathing. A lullaby with no tune. I followed it to the padded room. The crying stopped. The door hung half open. Everything looked the same cot mirror circle. But the circle was faded, now scraped away, like someone had been clawing at it. The mirror was cracked again, a new line cutting through the center. I could feel her there, even before I saw her. Not seen, felt. Like the air itself was leaning toward me. That's when it clicked. The name wasn't meant to summon her. It was meant to bury her, to keep her sealed. And I'd read it. That was enough. Still, I thought maybe if I said it out loud, it would take away her power. That's what the old stories say, right? Speak the name, take control. So I did. Once. Then again. The silence folded inward. The walls groaned. The mirror uncracked itself slowly, like a wound closing. And in the reflection, there was another face. Behind mine, pale, hollow-eyed, smiling where I wasn't. I couldn't move. couldn't breathe. The air pushed against me from all sides, like the room was inhaling. Restraints snapped tight on the cot. The floor shook, not with sound but pressure. Something was standing there, though I couldn't see it, only the shape it left in the air. And then, it was over. When I opened my eyes, I was outside, on a stretcher, daylight burning my face. An EMT told me I was lucky, said they'd found me dehydrated, half-conscious, trapped behind a collapsed wall. I told her I'd only been inside an hour. She said I'd been gone 3 days. They said it was structural failure. I didn't argue. I couldn't. They kept me overnight, released me the next morning. The city rep called, said they'd taken over, finished the job, no further incidents. They even paid my bonus, said I'd earned it. That should have been the end. But that night I opened my laptop. There was an email cleanup, successful site declared safe. Attached were photos of the cleared basement. The corridor looked ruined, decayed, unrecognizable. No mirror, no carvings, just rubble and old tiles. I stared at the last photo, the padded room from the hallway view. Nothing out of place, until I zoomed in on the mirror. Nothing. No reflection, no shape. But the longer I looked, the colder the room around me became. The air shifted, the silence thickened. That's when I realized why. The new crew didn't find her, because she wasn't there anymore. She followed me home. I still live in Fort Ridge. The new park opened last summer, right where Ridgeway used to stand. Families go there, now kids play, where the hallways once ran. I've driven past a few times. The air still feels heavy around that patch of grass, like the ground's holding its breath. Sometimes when I park too close, my truck radio cuts to static just for a second. And under the noise, I swear I can hear her voice, soft, whispering through the vents. My name, over and over again. I told myself I'd forget her, but it doesn't work like that. Once you've read the name, it never really leaves you.